And John, I have a simple question for you, but it's very heavy, and it is this: should I ever give back my retainer? What do you think?
Ugh, that is a very heavy, hard question to answer.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I'm gonna say if you should ever give back a retainer, I'm gonna say no. You should never give back a retainer, but I have a small caveat to that, because I do think that if you get caught in this game of giving back retainers, like, you could really, really hurt the industry.
Definitely.
Not just for videographers, but for the entire industry. You know, you think about a florist or whatever, or an event planner. It's like, if you're giving back the retainer, they're going to expect their florist to do it. They're going to think, and so like that could be detrimental. So I want to preface my answer, and I want to hear what you have to say, Nick, too, by saying that I've never given back a retainer that I remember or know of, at least in the last 5 or 6 years. Maybe back in the early days. I don't think I have, but I've never given back one and don't plan on giving one back. But there are a couple of scenarios with this pandemic that I would consider giving it back at a certain point. Mainly if I were in a scenario where, you know, I have a contract that is solid. I have a couple that wants their money back because they want a different day, that I might not personally be available, but I could have a second shooter shoot. That could be a way, you know, like that could be something where it's like, it's a gray area. Like if they wanted me to be there, since I do offer, you know, a second team a few times a year, but they were like, I really want you to be there. Like if they were really awesome about it and kind, I would maybe consider it, but I still think I would tell them no. And then the other scenario is if I had a couple that wanted to move the day, wanted to cancel with me, was being terrible, like just hateful, hard to work with, and if my retainer was a small enough amount where it wasn't worth the time, but I still probably would fight for it. Like if it was like a $500 retainer and they were like, we want that back or we're taking you to court, I would just say, take me to court. Like I have enough money in my bank account to where I'd be like, I'll spend 25 grand just to prove that you're a jerk. Like I'm the guy that would do that. Like, which is, you know, I don't want to like flex or anything, but that would be like, if somebody was being awful and terrible and like, I'm going to run your name through the mud and defamation and all that at that point, I would just say, screw you, I'm not giving your money. Like, you can take me to court for $500 or $1,000 or and I know there are scenarios out there where people like, and I think it's so funny inside of Facebook groups where people are like, you should never do something or you should always do something, and they have these like finite things that they're telling business owners that they don't know like how and why they should run their business. And so if you're in a position where you know, have a small retainer or something that you're just dealing with this couple that is hell, and they're like, I want our money back. I'm going to take you to court. You don't want to fight it. You don't want to mess with it. And you're going to spend hours and the heart strength and the mind strength dealing with it. If $500 makes it go away, I mean, it might be something to where you have them sign something saying they're not going to ever tell anyone, and they're going to, you know, like never write a bad review about you or whatever. And if they sign that agreement, you will release the money in 12 equal payments of $50, you know, or something just so it's a pain in their butt too. But should you ever give back a retainer? I'm going to say that even after all of that, I don't think I would ever recommend anyone in any situation give back a retainer unless you're done and you can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Nick?
I'm with you. I don't think you should do it. In most, you know, scenarios. I think that the only time you would do it is if someone is just being awful and continuing to bug you, and it's not, you know, if your retainer is $3,000, that's a different that's a different conversation than if it's 500, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I
It's
think
different for
the
everybody.
amount matters, but we say not everyone, but we also say don't ever give discounts. And do we give discounts? Yeah, we do. Maybe not like an advertise, oh, guess what? I'm doing 10% off this month, that kind of stuff. But if the right wedding comes along and it's something I really want to do, heck yeah, I'm going to give them a little bit of a discount so I can do that. So, for someone to make a blanket statement, you should never do this. I'm with you. You should never do this. What does your family need? What is your stress? Like, you have to know yourself. Some people can handle stress really, really well. And whenever someone kind of bullies them, they just give it right back. But if you cannot handle stress very well, and, maybe that's a situation where you just look at that and say, okay, if these are the things that present themselves, I'll do it. I always, I talk to my wife, and we had a couple of weddings that might, we're going to cancel. And I said, I am going to write them back and tell them, like our $8,500 wedding, they were paid in full. Our contract states all money given to us is ours. You don't get anything back. But I told Jen, I feel really bad taking $8,500 from someone whenever I literally did nothing. Okay, that was just me personally. And so I said, I'm going to tell her this situation, but I am willing to give her 50% back if, she kind of comes back and starts asking for it. Okay, but never, you have to make that up as your own decision for your own business and your own family and what you want to do. I know that's getting more. That's more than just the retainer. But I would never start out the conversation whenever someone's like, "Oh, I canceled," and then you're just like, "Okay, well, I know you've paid me this much, but I'll give you don't just give away your money. Make sure that they are they're asking for it. Like, if they're not asking for it, they might not expect it. I had one that she said, okay, I know that I've paid this money and I'm not getting it back. What are our options? But if I would have said to her, oh, I'll give you this money back, then she would have been like, okay, when she wasn't expecting it. So it's definitely kind of a case by case situation, but very generally 95 plus more percent of the time, we're going to say retainers, absolutely not.
So I have two things. Number one, you need to contact your attorney, and you need to talk to your attorney and make sure, that you have a solid contract.
Yes.
Back about 6 years ago, I had somebody paid in full and cancel, and I had some kind of weird, it was before I knew Paige and had hired another contract attorney, some weird thing in the way I wrote the money that they were like, we want all of our money back. The groom was an attorney, and they were like, we want the whole thing back, or something. And I was just like, crap, you got me. I have to I took that, scar on my back for that wedding that was canceled. And so you have to have a solid contract, and you have to talk to your attorney about what legally in your state or your country, or your province, or wherever you're at, what legally rights you have. Mm-hmm. And then the other point is, you can't just be a pushover. You can't be a weenie when it comes to this. This is your livelihood. Yeah. And that's what, when it comes down to it, you can't be a weenie.
Yeah. I want to say that, you might not handle stress very well, and maybe that's how you are. But I was thinking about that point right there as I was saying that thing. You need to have, you need to write out, maybe here are the reasons why I might considering giving the retainer back, and have those down so you know that. If you kind of have your business laws, your business guidelines, your business rules written out, it's a lot easier to follow the things that you say that you will never do or you will do in every situation if you have it written out and you know exactly what you need to do. So don't be a pushover, but in certain situations, giving a retainer back might not be the worst thing in the world, and it definitely won't destroy the industry if one time you do it because of certain circumstances.